All right, so we're good on Zoom. We're going to call the meeting to order. So this is the Owen J. Roberts Board of Directors regular business meeting being held on September 19th. I'd like to, everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join us in a moment of silence as we reflect on those serving in the United States Armed Forces, both past and present, the elected leaders of the state of Pennsylvania and our nation. We have much to be thankful for in our community. Thank you. Please be seated. All right, item 3.1, executive session announcement. Owen J. Roberts Board of Directors held a regular business meeting agenda. The board of directors met on the following dates for one or more of the following reasons: personnel or legal matters, and that was today, September 19, 2022. Item 4, the superintendent's report. Dr. Stout.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Friel. So welcome back, first meeting of the school year. Just want to say the beginning of the 22-23 school year, I don't want to get ahead of myself here, has been off to a great start. The term I keep hearing from staff in buildings that we have some normalcy this year in our schools, which is great. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Campbell Shantz, Senior Class Director, who will provide tonight's student government report. Do you need to turn it on?
Okay, hi. My name is Campbell Shantz, and I'm the Senior Class Director and representative of student government. The high school has welcomed 1,836 students to the building 3 weeks ago, making this the largest group of high school students ever. We've gotten off to a wonderful start with students and teachers getting acclimated to their new classes. Fall sports are off to a really strong start as well. The marching band and color guard have been working hard on their show for this year, which features the music of Billy Joel and Elton John. We encourage everyone to join us at the OJR Cavalcade of Bands on October 1st to see it live. Our seniors are hard at work on both their current classes and making plans for next year. We've had strong participation in our newly reformatted Wildcat Futures program designed to support seniors with this work and have many more sessions available in upcoming weeks. All of us at the high school are looking forward to a great year ahead. Middle school students have also been busy getting back into the groove of school. Many, even our returning 8th grade students, are getting used to using their lockers on a daily basis. All students have met with their advisory groups and will continue to do so every day, 6 of our cycle. This is an opportunity for us to build community and for our students to make meaningful connections with their advisor and advisory peers. Students will select their preferred clubs this week, and clubs are designed to be part of high interest for students. We will run a club day schedule twice per month. Students are also taking advantage of our interscholastic offerings as 260 students are participating in fall sports and an additional 70 are in marching band. It has been a great start to the school year at the middle school. Last but not least, the elementary schoolers are off to a good start for the new school year as well. Teachers are focusing on building routines and classroom expectations into their daily instruction. Students are meeting new friends and reconnecting with former classmates. Each school is offering welcome back events and Fall Fest along with our annual Wildcat Nights at the stadium, which are always well attended. Finally, our back to school nights provided families a chance to come in and see classrooms and meet their children's teachers. That's all.
Great, thank you. So over the past 2 weeks, the board and I have received quite a few emails that have come in. So I just want to take a moment tonight to provide some clarification on our school district's policies and procedures related to the use of restrooms and locker rooms by transgender students. First and foremost, OJR's primary goal is for students to feel safe while attending our schools. We appreciate our community's trust as we operate classrooms that foster academic achievement and support the unique needs of all students. OJR School District continues to follow Policy 103, Discrimination Title IX Sexual Harassment Affecting Students, for matters concerning the use of on-campus facilities and to protect students from discrimination on the basis of sex. In compliance with Title IX, OJR students are permitted to use the restroom and locker room that represents and reflects their gender identity. Our school buildings have restroom options available in different areas of the campus, and students are not permitted to arbitrarily select restrooms or locker rooms in our schools that do not align with their gender at birth. As part of OJR's ongoing compliance with Title IX, transgender students meet with their school principals or counselors to discuss the various options available to them on campus before any accommodations are made. In the past, we have worked with transgender students and their families to provide support for them without any incidents or disruptions in the school, and we will continue to do so. Available options at OJR schools also include private restrooms that are designed for individual use. If any student prefers to make use of a private restroom, staff members at any of our school campuses can direct them to a corresponding location. These private locations can also be used as a changing room for any student that is uncomfortable in a larger locker room. Ongoing communication is vital to building a healthy school community. We encourage parents or students to let their guidance counselors or school administrators know if they have any questions about OJR's procedures or would like additional information about options available to them while on our campus. If any student feels threatened, uncomfortable, or unsafe while at school or any district facility, it is vital the student or their family immediately notify the school administration so we can address any concerns. Reports of inappropriate behavior on our campuses are thoroughly investigated and handled by the school and/or OJR administration. In closing, I wish to thank the community for their continuous partnership and their assistance as we collaborate to ensure the ongoing safety of all OJR students.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry.
Sir,
Sit down. Sit down.
Sir, you'll have an opportunity in public comment.
I'm sorry, sir. Sit down, please. This is not a public comment, please.
No,
I'm sorry. Can you sit down, sir?
sure.
I'm sorry, sir. This is not a public comment.
I'm here, yeah. No, sir, you're not allowed. Okay. You are not allowed to speak right now. This is a business meeting. No.
I have an objection. You're a solicitor, you must deal with me as an objection.
We will recess the meeting if we. No,
Sir,
no,
you're
sir,
gonna have
this
to
is.
leave the meeting.
I have a legal, if you make me leave the meeting,
Sir,
Sit down.
is this being recorded by anybody?
It is. Can you please sit down, sir?
this is not, sir, this is not a public comment section.
There's public comment where you can talk.
Legal objection will be hindered
You-
the person in the
This is not, no, this is, there's, no, sir, this is, there's, no, sir, with all due respect, there will be a time for you. Sir, this is not your meeting, sir. This is the meeting of the Board of School Directors. Please sit down. You will have an opportunity to speak.
The Sunshine Law says
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, sir. This is a sir, let's recess the meeting.
Yeah, we'll reset.
We're going to recess the meeting.
All right, we're going to recess the meeting. We'll come back in 10 minutes here.
So my goal is just to get my legal objection on record, and then I can sit down. But my legal objection has to get on record legally,
So
and then
let-
I can sit
Let my
down.
attorney come back in, and I am going to let you speak, sir.
Yeah.
But we just give me 1
Okay,
second. and
thank you.
I'm going to restart the meeting.
While you guys are waiting, Reading versus Eagle, and then also Marshall versus Amos, April 4th, 2022. You guys might want to look those up. Mr. Solicitor, I just need to have my objection heard for the record, and then I'll sit down. Would you like to hear my objection?
Okay, sir, I'm going to start the meeting first,
Yep.
and then I'm going to allow you to state your objection. First,
you.
I'm just going to ask our
Yeah.
so just to let you know, we just went and got legal advice to try to understand. We've never had a meeting, disrupted like this before, so we wanted to understand how to properly handle this. So with that, Mr. Fitzgerald,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
would just give a quick.
Sure. Sir, under the Sunshine Act, the law is clear that a municipal body can limit who participates in a public meeting to the extent that they are residents of the municipality. We don't know who you are. We don't know if you're a resident or not. And candidly, with that understanding in mind, the objection section, from my reading, is more to do with allowing for public comment. You seem to have a view that it's a broader interpretation, and it's based on anybody can object at any time. Based on this disagreement, what we are going to afford you is a 3-minute opportunity to object to perceived violations of the agenda, which is the requirement of the board to have an agenda.
Actually, I am a resident of this district.
Okay.
What he's saying, actually.
Okay.
whatever-
So Heather,
No,
could-
Ms.
no,
McCurry,
No,
so we're going to give him
whatever
3
his
minutes.
standing is.
But Heather,
His-
we just asked common courtesy to talk in
We're gonna
order.
get-
We will allow you to
Cut me
talk.
off the other night.
We're going to allow you to talk. We're going to allow anybody to talk in public comment
sir-
as we do at every meeting.
So, sir, we believe this is process over and above owed to you. You have 3 minutes to note your objection of the
So
agenda.
just for the record, guys.
Yeah, could you just state your name and
Yes, sir.
what you're from?
George Uhas.
Okay.
I'm from Citizen Advisory of Pennsylvania. I'm a journalist, so I'm in all of Pennsylvania. So my objection doesn't have a time limit, so I'm not going to be time limited. If you time limit, that's just, all you're doing is making an error, because the objection clearly states, and I'm going to read it. So this is part of an objection. You give specificity to the board to identify the violation. You tell them what they did wrong, and then you give them a chance to deny it, or they remedy the action, okay? So you will either deny. So objection says any person has the right to raise an objection at any time to a perceived violation. Any person, doesn't say a resident, because journalists can't be, if I'm going to go down to West Perry next, I'm a person, I'm not a resident, I'm a person. It clearly states, this is the law, a person. So it doesn't say 3 minutes in here either, so I'm
but
going to
sir-
continue because I want you to continue. But it's very important for me to air this. What's happening to everybody here, regardless of, I don't care, I don't know what you guys are going over tonight, I just know this.
Sir, you will have to address this
I
one.
just know that the violation is this. There is no pertinent information available to people that walk in this room. You're supposed to have all pertinent information available, not just on the website 24 hours in advance, which gives people a chance to prepare to speak. That's the Amos versus Marshall. Because if you give it to them 24 hours in advance, somebody can prepare. That's not even enough time, and we're working through that legislatively, at least to make that 72 hours, so we can prepare as journalists and as citizens to argue a point. His report was not available. If I had a chance to review that last night, I could have tore that apart, because he moved his position and he changed sex and gender in the same conversation. I know what these people are arguing about now, because I can listen to the changing of his speak, but I didn't have it 24 hours in advance, nor is it over there. And there lies the Amos versus it's April 24, 2022. It was already settled that all pertinent information is supposed to be made available. Because whatever your position is out here, the lever of powers will switch. So this board may be in favor of you today. 4 years from now, it's against you. You need this board following the rules. You aren't following because you're making errors. So by me giving you a legal objection, giving you legal notice, and I'm giving you your first legal notice, and I will give you 3 over the next 30 days to remedy this. And I will be contacting your right-to-know officer. I'll be contacting your solicitor. I'll be giving your first, second, and third legal notice to a judgment day. And I think you understand what that is, because you're making errors. Everybody should have pertinent information. I went to a school board meeting where it was 1 page on a $120 million budget. You don't give 1-page agenda to your people. That's illegal. They don't know it's illegal, and that's why some of them are yelling at me. But you're not following the framework. Get right with the Sunshine Law. It's the only framework that brings us all together, so you can argue with more intellect instead of finger wagging. So my argument is, does somebody have all the pertinent information available for me tonight? Can I have everything, every financial report? Can I have a copy of your superintendent report? Can I have a copy of that right now? And if I can't, how do you proceed? Will you proceed? Because these people don't have it either. So you will be proceeding without pertinent information being available. So it's a First Amendment right violation for anybody who wants it.
Okay,
If there's
thank
30
you, thank
people
you.
here,
We're at the 3-minute
if there's
notice.
30 people here, I don't have a 3-minute violation. I don't have a 3-minute time limit here.
we put
Anybody
three-
who wants a First Amendment violation has one
Sir, we
tonight.
put 3 minutes. Okay, let's
So
move on.
are you guys going to deny? Are,
Let's move on.
so,
Let's move.
so to finish properly, here,
Oh,
to
sir, your 3
to
minutes are
finish
done.
properly, do you deny my legal note, my objection, or are you going to
There
remedy
is
it?
nowhere in the Sunshine Act where they have to voice a
Amos
denial.
versus Marshall. I'm allowed all pertinent information prior to a meeting. I don't have it. Are you going to get
The
it to me?
district complies
Are
with
you
the Sunshine Act.
denying me my
You
pertinent
can make
information?
a right to know request. in
No,
the
sir.
morning.
It says I'm supposed to have it. Marshall, you're making another error. Marshall versus, it's settled April
So,
4th.
sir, I'm just going to address you quickly. I'm just going to ask, so you've made this objection.
And now you either deny it, but here's the ending of it. This is how you do it.
I'm giving you the courtesy talk. If you let
I
me
don't want courtesy, and you're
complete
not
the
giving me
sentence.
nothing. It says what to do. You either deny my claim, have him deny it, or remedy it. And I don't think you're going to remedy it, so just have him deny my claim.
So I'm going to continue with the meeting, sir. If you
do
could.
you deny my claim?
We've heard an objection from
Do
you.
you have
We've
to deny my
recorded
claim
it.
or
We've
remedy
recorded
it?
Okay.
You deny,
We're going to move on.
For purposes of tonight's meeting.
Do you
the
deny
board
my
is
claim?
denying any claims you're raising.
you're denying it. Very good, thank you.
All right,
Anybody
so
who
we're
wants a
going to
First
move on
Amendment violation, see me
to.
afterwards.
All right, staff. Yeah, I'm going to continue superintendent's report and Dr. Stout.
Sure. So the district enrollment for the start of the school year is 5,436 students. The Education Foundation Family Farm Fest will be held on Saturday, October 8th, starting at 5 p.m. Tickets include a hayride, maze, bonfire, and games, and all proceeds benefit the students within the OJR school district. Reminder that there is no school for students and staff on Monday, September 26th, and Wednesday, October 5th. A school start time planning committee has been formed, and we will meet on Thursday, September 22nd, with a community forum scheduled for Thursday, October 6th. Tonight, the board will accept the resignation for our Director of Safety and Security, John Metzger. John will remain with the district through December. We have some other retirees this evening. I think, Mr. Kohler, do you have the first one? What do you have then? Is that something later in the agenda? Then we will move that. Thank you. One retiree, and this is and who I believe is attending. Kathy, are you here? Oh. So- So Kathy, you're not going to get off that easy. So I have some things I want to read about you. This evening we are recognizing Kathy Troutman for her well-deserved retirement. During her 43-year career in public schools, she has supported all levels: elementary, middle school, high school, and the administration. She is currently the administrative specialist to the Chief Financial Officer, Jackie Crumrine, and has supported the O&J Roberts Business and Operations Departments for the last 33 years. It's impossible to overstate how valuable and dedicated Kathy has been to the entire OJR community. Kathy's depth of historical knowledge about our school district is invaluable, and she has mentored and provided assistance to countless staff members over the years. I would be remiss if I didn't mention her affinity for working with our community youth groups and their use of our facilities. She truly loves this aspect of the job. Kathy and her husband, Mike, raised both of their children, Stephen and Jennifer, here, and they will continue to live in the district and be part of the OJR community. Kathy's retirement will allow her more time to spend with her family, including her daughter-in-law, Krista, her son-in-law, Jesse, her 7 grandchildren, and last but not least, her girls, the 2 golden retrievers. Although we are going to miss her at OJR, we wish Kathy the very best in her retirement and thank her for her dedicated years of service to our district. Kathy, we're truly going to miss you. Thank you for everything. Okay, Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Stout. Item 5, public comment. So information, proposals, and statements from individuals or delegations pertaining to items on the agenda. Speakers are to indicate your name, your township of residence, and the item on the agenda to which your comments are addressed. Speakers will be limited to not more than 3 minutes. And please understand, this is not a time for dialogue with the board. Rather, the board will listen to all comments and consider them in future deliberations. Also, if you have a question for school board, please email the board directors at schoolboardmembers@ojrsd.net, and you will receive a written response. For anybody on Zoom who would like to make a comment, please use the raised hand function. When it is your turn to speak, please state your name and township of residence. With that, we'll open up for public comment.
All right, Heather McCreary, East Coventry. First, I want to say I don't know what agenda item it is, but thank you personally for Mrs. Troutman. She has saved so many of us volunteers and also employees over the years. So a special extra thank you to her and her family back there. I want to speak to agenda item 7.9, and that is the policy graduation requirements. I really wish you guys would go back and look at this some more. There is no rush because the year already started. And I went back and looked again, just for clarification. The state code says 1 credit of health and PE. And this school district is still requiring 1.8, I think. And that is more than what is required. I also picked up a difference in the language where your policy, the Owen J. Roberts policy, says health and PE must be taught every year, and that actually is in the state one, but the O&J policy says must be taken every year, and that is actually a difference. Don't want to bother the attorney with it today, but I think that you guys need to look at that because I don't know how the other schools are doing it, but the other schools that we've heard about are requiring less units. Somehow they're getting PE into other classes. Maybe they write an essay in English or something, or do some math work. But our kids are not getting to take extra academics because of this. And we still have the problem with paying extra during the summertime. When you guys did when you did the presentation, Dr. Soder, who's head of curriculum, actually said the way it is now is affecting labs. And I don't know how you can justify with the survey that said kids are stressed out and they don't get enough sleep and they have too much stuff with the grades and the tests and everything else, that you were forcing them to take extra credit that's not required by the state in this district. And I'm asking you, please, please, to take a look at it again. And remember, a 9th grade student came up and asked you that in the spring. They brought this topic to you. It's one of my favorite, but come on, you guys, seriously.
Hi, Kathy Troutman, and I'll address 12.2, my retirement. I would be remiss if I didn't take an opportunity to talk about this school district. When I first met Dr. Stout, I shared with him I've been here since I was 5, and that's about as true as it comes. I can leave now, even though my family swore they'd take me out in a box, and the only way you'd get me out of here. I can leave now because we have the most tremendous administration I've ever worked with in my 44 years in education, from Dr. Stout to Jackie to Dr. Soder to Dr. Bentman, Mr. Bentman, and all the other administrators. Our board, I'm so confident that this school district is going to move in the right direction that I'm stepping away without a concern in the world. Sadness, missing people without a concern in the world. To the public, if you know me, you know how much my public people, the community, does mean to me. I live for what you people do for our students. I swear the most important commodity we have in this world is our youth. And I see passion here. I see what I would rate as insanity. But I respect the fact that you care, and I hope you never stop caring. I hope all of you recognize, too, that you represent a small amount of people. We have so many people in this district, And so many people are retired people, are senior citizens. We respect what you're doing, and we respect what they're doing, but you guys are doing a fantastic job, and I hope you hear the positive, who maybe don't shout as loud as the negative, but I hope you hear the positive, because you guys are fabulous, and I'm so proud to support you, now and forever, and they're not taking me out in a box, God willing. Thank you for what you said.
Thank you.
Mark Wolfrey from South Coventry Township. I want to attest to Ms. Troutman's work for the township or for the school board. I worked with a youth league here in the Owen J. Roberts area, and I got sort of thrown into it. We were using the North Coventry Elementary School. We were using the stadium for various events. Had no idea what I was doing, what we had to get done, and she walked us through it every step of the way. We could never have done it without the help. You can sometimes you hear about administrators and that expect you just to figure it out on your own and do it right, or you don't get it done. And she didn't. She never held you to that standard. She would hold your hand, get you through the process, so that to help the students be able to use the facilities like they're supposed to. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Is there any Zoom comments? Oh, I'm sorry, you have someone else? Okay. And then we'll go to Zoom.
So my apologies, I was not here at the beginning of the meeting, but I do want to understand.
can you-
Julia Harthway, North Coventry Township.
Thank you very much.
Last school board meeting, two parents very politely got up and simply asked if there was a policy regarding transgender use of bathrooms.
Can you just speak to the agenda item that you're referring to here?
I have no idea. I assume it was 4.3, Dr. Stout's statement.
So
Is that correct?
it's not technically an agenda item because it's not a voting agenda item, but there is two public comment periods. But is there any other public comment in the building here? There are. Could you just line up so we know how many public comments are coming, and we'll do that. Are you okay? I'm going to. So this is not, because it's not because it's not an agenda item. The second public comment period would be the time to bring this item up.
So it was on the agenda as his superintendent's report, and he gave that report.
There will be an opportunity to speak on the topic at the second public comment section. His statement is not an action item. The action items are that of the board, which will be occurring after this comment section. So you'll have an opportunity at the second public comment, as anybody else does on the topic, to bring it up.
But since it was listed,
It is.
can I have a copy of what it was?
I'm
It's not on here?
You can.
Information, proposals, and statements from individuals.
Related to the agenda items. So you'll have the opportunity to do public comment on non-agenda items on the second public comment period. And
So
why
how
it's-
do I follow, question,
Sure.
how do I follow the agenda?
Mm-hmm.
If when someone gets up and speaks about a certain topic, I reference the section on the agenda where that individual spoke,
Right.
and yet now I can't address
You
it.
will be able to address it on the non-agenda section of the meeting.
But it was
because
already on the agenda, you told me,
the-
that he
the
spoke
com-
about.
It certainly was, but the comment right now is for action that the board is about to take. This is a business meeting, so this is where the public has a chance to opine or make comment on the actions they are about to take or do business on.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So second item, you can come up and do that. So is there any other agenda item comments from here? Thank you.
Laura Geis, East Vincent Township. I think I'm in the same vein as this lady. I thought that was already opened up for discussion because it is an agenda item which the superintendent made a statement, and it was about the transgender policy. And definitely I'm here to talk about that. So when,
So
at
there are
what
two-
point in the
just-
meeting is the second session?
I'll explain that so everybody who hasn't been here before. So there are 2 points of public comment. The first public comment is restricted to those items that we're going to vote on. Those items are laid out here in our agenda, and these are board actions that we're about to take. After folks talk on those actions that the board takes, there is a second public comment where you can ask and talk about anything that you want to related to school board. So that would be the appropriate time to bring up, the gender issue, if that's discussion, or Dr. Stout's comments. The second public comment section, which I think is 14, item 14 on the agenda, at that point, you can come up and talk to that, okay? So on that, which I'll allow everybody to do.
May
So-
I ask a question about
Is
this
it
statement?
only on agenda items, or else the second public comment you can? I'm going to ask to go to the next person for public.
We have no Zoom public comment.
Well, what I want to ask a question about is about the
So you may
agenda
do
that
that
was
at the
right in front of us today. Would you call that the minutes? That's,
So you can comment on the second public comment. So we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda. Oh, this minute?
So you have a question about the minutes that the board's going to approve?
yes, is that what we're here to discuss?
Well, you'd have to talk about what your issue is with the minutes.
Well, the minutes is this the minutes for today's meeting?
No.
You're about to prove that she wants to speak on the minutes.
All right, so we're going to move
I-
on
I'm-
to this.
I
to the-
just want to ask a
Ma'am,
you
I
will-
question.
promise
you have a
you,
second?
we will allow you to talk, and as we do everybody.
Is the
Everybody will have an
superintendent's statement that he made, that we heard an hour ago?
It is
40
not on
minutes
it is not on these minutes.
ago. Is it final?
So ma'am, in the second period,
Yes or
I'll let
no?
you come up. Thank you. We're going to move on to
Not
the next
answering.
item number. So we're going to move on to, where are we at? Item 6, board committee reports. The working session. A working session was held on September 12th at 6 p.m. and the following committees met at this time: Legislation and Policy Committee and the Personnel Committee. Legislation and Policy Committee, we have an update.
The LMP committee met as part of the working session on September 12th, during which a number of policies were moved to the meeting tonight for vote for first reading, and they are on the agenda for tonight.
All right, thank you. And personnel met also.
Yes, personnel met during that working session. While the Personnel Committee met, our HR Director, Kristen Smith, gave a presentation on procedures and protocols for reporting employee misconduct. This information will be available online in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any board recommended? I'm sorry, we're going to move on to item 7. What's that?
If we go through all of the number 6.2 Chester County Intermediate
Oh, okay, I'm
Unit, I
sorry,
can
yep.
give
Curriculum Special Education Committee, is that next?
I think Chester County Intermediate Unit 6.2
Oh,
would be
okay,
next.
it's on the bottom there. Apologize for that.
Sorry.
You're up.
So the last meeting for CCIU was held on August 17th. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, so I don't have detailed notes from that one. The next meeting is this coming Wednesday, August 21st at 7:30 p.m. Thank you.
All right. Now curriculum? All right.
We did not meet at the last working session. We did have a committee workshop on 9/16 to increase the committee's knowledge on the curriculum review process. LMP tonight does have a reading up for graduation policy on the agenda tonight. Just wanted to make note of that. And that's all for me.
All right. Finance, Building and Grounds.
We currently don't have any agenda items tonight. I have 2 updates. We anticipate that the main campus stadium Wi-Fi and security camera upgrade project will be going out to bid during the month of October. This will be a publicly advertised, posted on the district website, and shared throughout our social media platforms. Second update is during the October 10th school board working session, this committee will be discussing the project scope of the next steps for the main campus traffic pattern reconfiguration project. And we have a draft, we have received a draft traffic study from McMahon. We have not completed the review of it, and we can make that available to the rest of the board to review. And then we're going to get comments back to them and have them finalize that report.
Okay, thank you. All right. Item 7, recommended routine matters. 7.1, motion to approve recommended routine matters, consent items 7.2 through 7.11. I'm asking the board to make a motion to approve those routine matters as consent items.
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Mr. Doherty, second. Any board discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, 7.2 through 7.1. Item 8, recommended routine matters. The acknowledgement, receipt of donations, contributions, and gifts as presented. The district received from St. James Lutheran Church, Operation Smart Start, donated 120 backpacks loaded with basic school supplies, approximately $3,600 value, so thank you very much. North Coventry Giant Food Store, Stuff a Bus program, donated boxes of school supplies purchased by employees of the store, about $500 approximate value. Thank you to them as well. Do I have a motion to acknowledge receipt of these donations?
So moved.
Second.
And seconded. Any board discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 9, approval routine matters. Motion to approve routine matters consent items 9.2 and 9.3. The board will make a motion to approve the following matters, which are items 9.2 and 9.3 as action consent items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
And a second. Any board discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 10, board discussion. Any,
Can I ask a question quick? So is this only on the things that we just approved, or is commit anything?
this can be,
So I wanted to bring something up because I wanted to, we received an email, and then I've been hearing some discussion within the community about, opportunities and access for our special education students. And I was wondering if it's maybe something the board wants to think about hosting listening sessions similar to like we did for the equity, maybe for elementary, middle school, and high school level, to see and hear what, the community members and such have to say.
Regarding special ed?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, to like access and opportunities that our special ed students have.
so you do it at the elementary school buildings and then middle school, high school, kind of breaking it out? How did you?
Well, I
do
was
that?
the population, is 22% of our population of IEPs and 504s. So if we, grouped elementary together and then did middle school and then did high school, and just heard what our community and our parents have to say, and, for some of our older students, some of their experiences also.
Yeah.
We are having those series of town halls. I don't know if we're talking about that at all tonight, but I wonder if that would be the right forum to like earmark some of those for that type of discussion.
I think one of the things with this would be specifically for this population, because I think they would be more willing to speak and speak out than if it's a generalized.
Yeah. I just know sometimes that people get meeting fatigue and, will people attend? So obviously you'd have to consider that. The interest.
Yeah, it is hard to figure out what the best way to take that input is, whether attending a meeting would be the most effective way, or if there's another way that we could gather input from them.
Yeah.
Well, I think the design, as you said, is to do it in a similar way that we did the equity listening session.
Right.
So it's not going to be agenda-driven.
No.
Would you
It
say?
would be listening. We would, just like the equity sessions were, we as a board and administration are supposed to sit back and listen and not comment, and just allow people to have open communication and talk about their experience. Yeah.
I'm for any time that we can get more input from our community.
So my question is, so we're planning on having some town halls too. Do you think having like a town hall style one just dedicated to special education, or do you think we need multiple meetings with like multiple buildings?
I think we could talk to our administration too, because I mean, I don't know if I would assume there'd be benefit, because it's such a different experience in elementary, middle, and high, to
Okay.
splitting it up. But I mean, I think I'd have to allow, Mr. Bettman and such to talk more on that, what would be the best for our students and parents.
Just to add to that suggestion, maybe we advertise the meeting as for families with students that have exceptionalities, rather than calling it a special ed meeting.
Good point,
So
thank
it's
you.
more inclusive.
Like that.
So I think we have consensus, we should do something here. The question, should we push it back to Mr. Bentman and Dr. Stout to work with
Yeah, I think that's something that
with
would
you
be
to kind
great
of
to work on.
get that organized?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I bring up one more discussion?
Yeah,
Sorry.
you can.
Another thing that has been brought up in emails and also in discussion is transportation for after-school activities. And I think this was brought up one other time, but have we looked into this further? Is there a demand for it? Is there other options or things available for our middle school and high school students for after-school programs?
Mrs. Crummine, if you don't mind, I'll defer that to you, because I know that we had stopped transportation before my tenure.
Sure. If you go back to approximately, it's either 2017-18 or 16-17, the school code requires us to provide like-kind transportation, and we were doing it for ONJ Roberts, but we transport to 82 other schools, and we started receiving those requests from our parochial and other private schools, and it was well beyond the budget and well beyond the ability to provide that transportation, which is one of the reasons why we stopped it.
And we have pretty low usage too, right?
Right. Overall, it was around 1% to 2%. I'm not saying it wasn't valuable to some families.
Yeah.
It was.
Can we open it up for more discussion about it in the future to?
I mean, we could discuss it. The question is, my challenge with it right now is going to be if you open it up to 82 different schools, it's a significant capital expense to add buses and routes and drivers. And right now, especially, we're under a crunch of we don't have enough drivers even to fulfill. And there's school districts here. We're actually in a very good position relative to other school districts that are down 15 and 20 drivers and struggling to find drivers. So even if we had the will, I don't know that we have the ability to affect that, which is, we're struggling today. And right now, it takes, what 6 to 8 weeks to bring on a school bus driver and get through that?
Right now, it's a 6-week process from what I understand in speaking with Mr. Gray and our school bus contractor. We have some in the pipeline. We are short drivers. Everybody, the whole state, we're all short drivers right now. We're doing everything we can. And I could also suggest that maybe you speak with some state legislators to help relax some of.
Because we don't waive that, there's a federal.
There was a federal waiver that the state of Pennsylvania did not waive. So, it's just it's a big shortage right now. And we're all struggling to get home to school, the home to school transportation. And then on top of that, we added another contractor to help us with our athletic events too. So that's where we are right now with transportation. We're not alone, that's the good news.
Yeah, so getting the state, obviously Harrisburg, to waive that federal waivers would be helpful to get drivers on and onboard them quicker, which would be, I think, helpful for every school district in Pennsylvania. But beyond that, just the demand around here, so we're going to be challenged for that. So I think we can certainly discuss it. It really demands how much effort and budget for something that's going to be a struggle to accomplish.
Well, maybe we discuss it when we have more bus drivers and more ability to do something like that. I would like to bring it back up at some point. But
I think that's a very valid. It's a very valid service. So we just got to figure out how can we do that. Other board discussion items?
I just had a suggestion about the confusion about the public comment. If you look at the way this agenda is written, it isn't really clear that item 5 is on voting items. And I do recall at one time when I was reprimanded myself from the public for talking about a committee report. and committee reports are not made public. They're given by us, and so they are not in print anywhere. So I think there needs to be some differentiation between, comments that are made is not necessarily something that would be opened up to to be called an agenda item. But we're talking about voting items. So maybe that number 5 could just be worded in our agenda as public comment on voting items only, item 7 through whatever, or something like that, just so people understand that there's no desire for us not to hear everything people have to say. It's just, we have it formulated that way so that anything we vote on, we get to hear from the public.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion if we can, word it differently or even order the agenda in such a way so it's clear, like this is the working voting agenda that we're going to be taking action on items on, and here we're asking for public comment on those items. And then secondly, the wider school district stuff that we're opening up comment to any suggestion that someone would have or any issue that someone would like to bring before the board on that. Yeah, if we can better articulate that, better word that, make it clearer and more concise, I am 100% for that.
Who is the person that would work on that wording? Is that Jackie?
Yeah, we would do that in agenda preparation.
Okay, that'd be great if we could do that.
I'm happy to
Right,
do that.
it does seem interesting that the public comment comes before the board committee reports, but we don't actually vote on anything during the board committee reports. So it might be clearer if the public comment on voting items was after board committee reports.
Mr. Solicitor,
Yeah,
Mr. Solicitor,
we're
would you
gonna-
tell them what official action, and official action just isn't voting. Official action is commenting, deliberating, or voting. People have the right to speak before all official action, not voting items. Official action.
Sir, thank you.
Don't believe me now.
No, sir,
Read it
sir,
later.
thank you.
But you need to inform your school
Well,
board. Are you
sure.
doing something
They-
here?
If they can deliberate in public, that would be a form of official action.
And then therefore they get to speak in front of it. So just so you know, what she was trying to say was, he's talking about.
Well, sure, and that
The
is.
superintendent is
and
talking about manipulating
Okay,
the
sir,
wording so you
please,
can't
could you sit
speak.
down,
That's what
sir?
he just said.
All right, and I think
That's what he just said.
And I think that's
And I'm
probably
not
why the
saying
agenda
you're
is
not
set up the
doing
way it is. There was no deliberation around what Dr. Stout was indicating, and sometimes around a policy or a committee meeting report, there's sometimes deliberation. That is why it's probably set up the way it is. I think it's actually set up generally okay because you want to encapsulate your committee reports under an agenda item because there is the possibility of deliberation. So we may want to work on it, but I think the agenda is set up pretty good under the circumstances.
So if we can add more clarity on just so that, just so there's no public confusion as people are coming up and what is and isn't. So if we'll work on that, I think that's a good idea. I'm happy to do that. Another item I want to bring up for board discussion is, capital planning and fiscal planning for the future. So I know one of the things that I want to challenge, us as a board as we look out here is we're starting to see a lot of development come into the townships. And I know, Jackie, what frequency do we do that big strategic look at how many residents we're going to have coming in? I know every couple of years
We actually do it every year.
Every year.
And Mr. Bentman will be presenting to the board in November. So every year we take a good hard look at it.
Yeah, and so one of the things I want to talk about on the board is doing a long-term strategic plan on capital, because as we have growth in our district and we have 400, 500, 600 new students coming in, we're going to have to be planning on facilities. What does that mean for the grade schools? What does that mean for the middle high school? There are going to be options that we're going to have to probably bring the community in on how do we do that? How do we handle 500 and 600 students over time in the next couple of years? So I think that's something we're going to have to start this year thinking about, because in 5 years or 6 years, we're going to be building stuff. And we need to have a capital plan in place for that. So something this year I think we need to be tackling.
We had that feasibility study, though, that had all those capital projects ranked in order of priority years back. So are we talking about redoing that or eliminating that or?
This is well beyond that. This was stuff that's like capital, like facility improvement stuff, those feasibility plans. I think this is more like if we have 500 new students in, do we build a building? Do we move the 6th grade up to the middle school? Do we expand? How do we do that? Do you redistrict? There's like, and depending on where those students come in at, they're going to come in distributed across our whole, first or kindergarten through 12th grade. It's just a big project we're going to have to, I think, get started on. So I think we'd want the finance committee to start thinking about setting up some of those meetings in the spring. After we have that update, we're going to, I think, need some community involvement too in that.
Are there new ones that have been approved since we did it last year? Because last year's projections did not show a huge uptick in students happening over the next 10 years.
Now, Mr. Bentman's still calculating that information right now, and then we'll share it, I believe, in November board meeting, so then we can take a look at the projections. There are some new developments that have come online that could impact the numbers.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in our townships. So just want to bring that to the board's attention, and we need to be discussing it. All right. Old business. Any old business? All right, new business, approval of personnel matters. 12.1, motion to approve personnel matters 12.2 through 12.16. Could I ask for a motion to approve the following personnel matters, items 12.2 through 12.16 as action consent items?
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. 12.16. New business, approval of student activity club advisors and student officers. Approval of student activity club advisors, student officers in accordance with the provisions of section 511 of Pennsylvania School Code for the 22-23 school year as presented. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.2, approval to establish a student activity. Approval to establish a student activity club in accordance with provisions of 511 of the Pennsylvania School Code and regulations 122A and/or 22B as presented. And the subsequent establishment of those student accounts for activities. Can I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.3, approval of conference attendance. Approval of the conference attendance as presented. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion? Can I have a
Second.
And seconded. Any discussion?
Could we just be reminded, these IB conference trainings, how often are these again? Just kind of expensive.
Looking at the list here, it looks like we have a lot of folks going through the initial training. So you have initial training to do, that's once. But then I believe the curriculum, is it every 3 or every 5 years, Mr. Kohler? I'm not sure. So he's scheduled to go to the training, so he'll know that next time he's here.
So anyone new goes right off? Okay.
Correct. But then there are curriculum revisions that are required. I think it's either a 3 or 5 year cycle.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Motion and seconded. Any discussion? Other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.4, approval of out-of-state overnight trips. Approval of out-of-state overnight student trips as presented. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, second.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.5, MOU Chester County Children, Youth, and Families. Can I have a motion approval of the memorandum of understanding between Chester County Children, Youth, and Families Agency and O&J Roberts School District as presented?
I'll motion.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.6, approval ratification of professional service agreements, maintenance agreements. Approval ratification of professional service agreement as presented. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion. Have a second?
Second.
Stu Marino. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay. 14.1, public comment. Information, proposals, and statements from individuals or delegations pertaining to any item. Speakers are to indicate your name, your township of residence. Speakers will be limited to not more than 3 minutes. Please understand that this is not a time for dialogue with the board. Rather, the board will listen to all comments and consider them in future deliberations. Also, if you have any questions for the school board, please email school board directors at schoolboardmembers@ojrsd.net. If you'd like to make a comment on Zoom, please use the raise hand function. So I'm going to open up to discussion here. Sir, are you a resident? Are you making public comment?
I'm about to, I gave you guys, I wanted to catch you a break, but I got my legal objection, one more, and then I'll get out of the way. I have the right to give a legal objection.
So this is an objection?
This is my objection.
Okay.
And then I don't have to comment. I don't know what they're about to comment on, but I know this, that this man's words to adjust your, the wording of your agenda was to silence you further. Miss, in the Sunshine Law, there is a clear definition, official action, recommendations. These are all official actions, not just voting. If there's any recommendation like this young lady had, any recommendation is official action. If that was not on the agenda item, which it wasn't, and it was a great agenda item, by the way, that should have got opened up to the public for comment, because it is deliberation. It says right here, official actions, recommendations made, Sunshine Law. And that's, just so you guys know, it's in the definitions, section 703 of the Sunshine Law. You'll find it there. Another part is establishment of any policy. That's an official action. The decisions of an agency's official action, and the vote taken. So there's 4 items, and they're allowed to speak on all of that prior to it. If you create something new here that was on the agenda, you should open it back up to the public. Now, what you did to these 2 ladies, tell them they couldn't speak in the first half, was wrong. Because is anybody their constituent? Like, are they the constituent of somebody? Is there a board member who represents those 2 ladies? Anybody? Do you guys know who your representative is?
Sir, are you?
So the objection is this, that the failure to train is failure to train is a federal court case. Failure to train. These people don't know what official action is, for God's sakes, and how many years have you been doing this? So we got to get them trained on the Sunshine Law. These ladies clearly were talking about the minutes of last month, some discussion that was had. We're not afforded the minutes here because you decided not to give us pertinent information, which is a violation. Anybody who wants to see me afterwards for a First Amendment violation, I'll be here for a while. And if there's 40 people here, that's 40 violations per the 40 violations I found on your page. Those ladies should have been able to speak in the front half. You voted on items potentially that they had the right to speak in front of. Those 2 ladies have a very serious First Amendment violation because clearly they were talking about the minutes. The one lady even articulated. You just artfully wheeled her to sit down, but she had the right to be here. So the objection is this. Are you guys restraining these people and not giving them the First Amendment violations? Do you deny that you're restricting their First Amendment?
Sir, absolutely. Please.
You deny it. Say the words, I deny that, please.
I'm not saying that.
You have to deny it or remedy it because you denied them their First Amendment right.
There was no denial of First Amendment rights, and you can
You
treat
didn't let
that
them
for what it
speak.
is.
You didn't let them speak on the agenda item.
There's a time, place, and manner restriction to when one can
They
speak.
needed to be able to speak in front of the
Sir,
official action.
You were trying to tell them what to say. Sir, please sit
Yeah,
down.
because he was railroading them and he was railroading
Let's
them.
Have you made your objection, sir?
That's my major
Let's
objection.
let the
And
community
you guys
members know.
denied it.
So we're going to allow public
So
comment now.
we'll see you in a legal notice.
All right, thank you. All right, so we're going to go on to public comment. Please state your name, township of residence, and 3 minutes will be afforded to everyone.
Heather McCurry, East Coventry. I want to thank April Sabo for actually looking out for the kids in this district and bringing up the special ed kids and trying to do something about it. I just bring that up because you guys are struggling, and it's after COVID. It's well after COVID now. We used to have an order. We used to have meetings. We used to have committee meetings. Committee meetings were separate. They weren't lumped together in the cow and working session, but some people on this board eliminated that. So there is no more time for actually meaningful public participation. I think it's ridiculous to hold something called town halls where we have to listen to blah, 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 when you guys should be having working business committee meetings. You guys all owe a fiduciary duty to everybody in this district, whether you're Democrat, Republican, and I still don't think you can get on the board as an independent. But I'm trying to understand what's going on here, because school boards are supposed to be academics and not politics. And for me, that's all I hear. We got past the messy equity thing, although you know what? Here's equity for you. I'm going to randomly throw this out. Kids that go to the tech school, guess what? At O&J, they can't be in band and they can't participate in after-school O&J Roberts activities because they meet in the afternoon and they can't get back here on the buses. There's a little equity conundrum for you. I really think you need to go back to having a meeting, a committee meeting, where you guys can sit up here and talk. You guys can deliberate. We can have meaningful public commentary, and you guys can do business about running the school so we can move this district forward. The ratings of O&J Roberts academically are pretty much slumped. They're going down. Not really sure, and if you think, so we used to talk about things like how 10th graders at other schools can be on Honor Society, how kids that are special ed and have IEPs should be on the Honor Society. They don't get to do that here. And about things like, what is the best program? Is it IB? Because when IB came in, I thought it was going to be 4 years and it's only 2. And so on tonight's agenda, $12,500 was approved for 5 different trips for IB teachers. And that actually is pretty much the amount of money it would cost to do AP Capstone, which we talked about, right? So nobody's even paying attention to the other stuff that's going on. Please, you guys, get back to academics, what this school is about. No more politics, please.
My name is John Barnett. I am a community member of the OJR School District, and I live in West Vincent Township. School directors, Dr. Stout, Ms. Crumrine, let me thank you first for your time and dedication to your jobs. I really have a lot of gratitude for you for taking on these roles of the school board, the administration, and my gratitude extends to your commitment for this school district. I'm speaking briefly here in support of all parents and students who, in the past, may have been harassed or felt left out in any way, or in any way had a difficult time because they were perceived as different or not fully accepted by others. By now, you would have received an email from a parent of a child who is transgender. He will have reminded you that children who are transgender have been exposed to bullying. He asked you to continue to maintain privacy with regard to any particular student's individual situation. Any discussion or plan that the parent, the child, with the counselors and the administration put in place for a student's well-being should be private. I know that the things that are said at these board meetings are eventually heard by our students and by the parents that care for them. I hope that we can, as a community, always keep that in mind at these meetings. I hope that all parents and students hear that we are a community, the school board and the administration, a community that cares about them, supports them, and wants the best for them and welcomes them. Thanks for the opportunity.
Good evening. My name is Mark DeFusco. I am the president of the Roberts Education Association. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Mark DeFusco, the president of the Roberts Education Association, and I am here that I'm very happy to announce the return of the REA Safe Trick or Treat. So I wanted to be here to invite the board, administrators, and especially our elementary students and their parents to attend the event on Thursday, October 27th. See you then.
Hello again. My name is Laura Guys. I live in East Vincent Township, and I have a daughter in the high school. So by introduction of my remarks, I'm just wanting to point out something about transgender young people and adults. I've been reading and studying a lot about it because since my daughter has attended this school, she's become very empathetic to them. I am as well. We love all human beings and all their struggles in life. We all struggle in life. By tolerating trans children at the expense of other children who are not trans, we are doing people who I believe have serious mental unhealthy dispositions about their own bodies no service, allowing them to remain in their confusion. The school board must study the hundreds of online YouTubes available on the stories of detransitioners. I have been doing this for the last 2 years. I think I've listened to about 50 stories of male to female, back to male, female to male, back to female. You need to understand, truly, you need to understand to know what you are unleashing in our community by condoning, by just allowing them to have their space. It's fine, we want to respect their space, but what I'm very perplexed about is what happens to all the girls who didn't expect this to happen in their private spaces. Okay. One thing I want to point out is I've been trained as a mandated reporter. Training requires that if you see or hear something of concern that you must report it. This very activity of allowing confused male to female young men in a girl's space where she's undressed, either in the bathroom or a locker room, is absolutely an item that a mandated reporter should report. Okay? How can we be having teachers of an entire building who are all mandated reporters basically have their mouths duct taped? They're not allowed to say anything about something that used to be standard mandated reporter material. Why would we who have been trained to be mandated reporters not call Childline over the use of our daughter's restrooms as a social, political, psychological battleground by confused biological males? I bring up the male wanting to be a female because that is the most sensitive situation of girls experiencing these young men that are confused walking into their space. Maybe guys are being very upset by girls who want to be boys walking into their space, but I haven't heard of a case of that right here in ONJ. 3, why is it even happening that young women have no choice in this happening to them in their space? Why didn't the women have a choice in this?
Thank you very much.
I'm not done. 4,
I'm sorry,
where
ma'am,
are
there's
the
3 minutes
feminists
limits.
among us? No, I've timed this.
We've
This is not 3
always
minutes.
have a 3
Where are the
minutes
feminists
thing.
among us
We
that
ask everybody to just
fellow
follow the
women who
rules
seek
of our.
to speak and stand for the identity
Ma'am,
of
if you would take
biological
your seat,
women?
please. There's a rule. It's everybody is very cordial,
timed this
and
and I
we've
haven't
never had
gone
this
over
in our
3
meetings where
minutes.
people have taken out and not. And we listen to every single person. Everybody has the right for 3 minutes, and we've been
I don't think you
adhering to
allowed
that.
me
So
3
I'm
minutes.
asking you to please take your seat and allow us to continue.
I do have
Other
a
folks
question
are
about an
behind
agenda
you that
item.
would
What
like
is
to-
Best Buddies that you just approved?
Could you please take your seat, ma'am? Thank you.
Are you going to answer me?
This is not a question.
This is
and
not a question and
answers.
answer. Your
Okay,
public comment is
so I
done.
have a question. When is that question and answer time when we can dialogue with you?
I'm sorry, ma'am. Please take your seat. And the next person, please. Thank you.
I would like to state that objection that you have not answered a valid question.
Thank you.
My name is Erin. I reside in West Vincent Township. I am the loving family member of 2 boys in the district.
Ma'am, you're speaking to the board now. So.
I
Thank
showed
you.
up tonight to stand in the room as a member of the LGBT community myself and as an advocate for the members of the OJR student body that may identify now or in the future as LGBT. I was the only person in my middle school and high school experience that was out. I can only think that that's the reason why no one came to a school board meeting to talk about me. The negative opinions and voices are not the only ones out there. There are people in this community that accept you as you are and want to do everything they can to support you and your success and your education. I defer the rest of my time to keep this meeting moving. Thank you.
Can I just ask you to repeat your name and townships for the record?
Aaron, West Vincent Township. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Beth. I'm from West Vincent Township, and I'm a parent of two.
Can I ask your,
Yeah.
just anybody who comes up, just first and last names, please.
Oh,
I need to
sure.
know.
I'm
Thank
Beth McDonnell.
Thank you.
McDonnell. And I am a parent of two OJR students and from West Vincent Township. Dr. Stout already articulated it beautifully, but once again, I'd like to be clear what the law is. The Supreme Court ruled in 2019 in favor of Pennsylvania school district policy that allows transgendered students to use bathrooms that match their gender identity. Trans kids have privacy rights and protection under federal law Title IX. These kids do not deserve to be routinely and pointlessly scapegoated by adults during an election season. They do not care about our children. They care about politics. They also do not care about the culture they are creating for our youth or the victims that they leave in their wake. 82% of trans kids have thought about suicide and 40% have attempted it. We have seen it in our own district. A year and a half ago, some of these same people posted thoughts and prayers on Facebook, creating a false narrative of supposed empathy. Yet they stand today in defiance of laws that protect these children. Small-minded members of this community are guilty of aggressions that ostracize our kids. School belonging, community unity, and representation are factors in self-acceptance. I came out as bisexual in 1988 in Alaska, and as conservative of a place Alaska is, and as few people were out of the closet back then, it's now in 2022 in Chester County when I am most disappointed by the continuous homophobia I encounter. We should be proud LGBTQ kids are brave enough to be who they are despite rampant transphobia. The shame these people impose can have fatal consequences. To the OJR, LGBTQ youth and allies that are here tonight, know there are many community members that stand with you. You should be able to live an authentic life with the same freedoms and the same rights that cisgendered kids have. Do not listen to those who would erase you. You will not be erased. School Board of OJR, please continue to enforce the laws which protect the kids who need it most. Do not entertain ways to succumb to bigotry and be the advocate that these kids in our district clearly need.
Hello, my name is River King. I live in East Coventry Township. I am in the 10th grade at Owen J. Roberts High School. I've been in this district since I was in kindergarten. I also identify as LGBTQ. I'm one of the officers of the I'm one of the executive officers of the OJR Equality Alliance. And I'm a member of an LGBTQ youth group through Planned Parenthood. I'm at this podium tonight because the Journal of Adolescent Health reports that 1 in 3 transgender students who face discrimination based on the right to the usage of bathrooms will attempt suicide. As a non-binary student, the statistic horrifies me. I have been highly disturbed by the comments made on the parent groups in our district, and I personally know how much the mental health of transgender students will be affected if Title IX is to be interpreted in the way it is right now. The people who support the comments written on our district's pages want to fix problems that don't exist, but in turn are creating a new one. The people who made these comments will go after anyone and anything that makes them uncomfortable, whether it be transgender students, students of color, or even what we read in our history books. This is not an issue concerning the number of biological sexes or the comfort levels of cisgender children. It is an issue concerning the lives and safety of transgender and non-binary students. I have personally encountered homophobia and transphobia my entire life, whether it be about the way I dress, look, or represent myself. I do not want any students, cisgender or transgender, to experience what I've been through. The horrible feeling when you feel like anyone and everything wants to hurt you. That someone who wants to start trouble could be just around the corner. Restricting transgender children from using their preferred bathrooms will only cause more of these instances by singling out queer students and their friends. Again, my name is River King. I am one of the executive officers of the OJR Equality Alliance, and I am up at this podium tonight to support myself and all of the other transgender students across this country. I have been shaken by the comments that community members have made, and I will not stop fighting until I have the same basic rights as the other children in our district. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tracy King, and I live in East Coventry. I'm the mother of a 7th and 10th grader. We've been part of the ONJR family since my oldest started kindergarten. I appreciate the opportunity to share with you. I'm going to take the liberty of making an assumption. The assumption is that most people in this room would agree that we are fortunate to have one of the best children's hospitals in the world right here in our backyard. That hospital would be the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. CHOP rates consistently in the top 3 children's hospitals in the world. It is comforting to know that when our children need care, we have access to some of the best doctors in the world. Their research and science are top-notch. Our family has been going to CHOP for almost 16 years, from concussions, surgeries, autism department, and everything in between. Why? Because like many parents, I trust CHOP, taking great comfort in knowing my children are getting high-quality care based on the latest research, science, and technology. I ask each of you to think of a time you may have placed your trust in CHOP for your own children, the most precious people in your life. Now, with all that said, I would like to share that both of my children have been to CHOP's Gender and Sexuality Development Program. My one child has been going for many years. We are lucky enough to have started with the program early enough to see Dr. Hawkins, the fantastic woman who pioneered the program. She is an expert in her field, and her knowledge is astounding. Just last week, I reached out to Dr. Hawkins, and she put me in touch with their manager of education initiatives. CHOP 100% supports trans youth being able to use the restroom that matches their gender identity. Denying trans youth this fundamental right will have a significant negative impact on their social and emotional well-being. Science and research are on the side of trans youth. Our LGBTQ+ youth are hurting. Adults are hurting them. Let me repeat that. Adults are hurting them. Research is undeniable that when supported, LGBTQ youth have significantly improved mental health. If we as a community trust CHOP science and research for all other aspects of our children's development and care, we also must trust them on this. We can't choose what science and research we trust from them. We as a community either trust CHOP science or we don't. I repeat, science and research are on the side of our trans youth. CHOP also has every child's well-being in mind. Still, they support trans youth using the restroom or locker room that matches their gender identity. As the mother of an LGBTQ+ child, I'm happy to have further discussions with anyone interested. I too once didn't understand and had a lot to learn. I have a lot of resources I could share with you. All I ask is that you bring respect and kindness to the table. Thank you for your time.
My name is Walter Guys. I live in East Vincent Township. I do not hate people that call themselves transgender or gay or lesbian or bisexual. I do not hate any of those people. I treat them with respect and kindness. But I think that we have to deal with the reality of how we were made by God. Those who have an XY chromosome are male. Those who have an XX chromosome are female. Now, if one were to be anorexic, would it be a good thing to affirm them in their anorexia and say, oh yes, you're very fat. Yes, you're fat. Obviously, all of us would say no, right? Or if somebody said, My arm's horrible. I don't want this one arm. And there are people that think that way. They shouldn't have part of their arm. Would we affirm them in that? I don't think so. How come the final arbiter of truth with these sexual issues is feelings, but when it comes to things like this, feelings aren't the final arbiter of truth. It's reality. I think this is what we're dealing with. And no offense to you, young man, or whatever gender you decide you are. I'm non-binary. Okay. So whatever chromosomes you have, that's what you are. I'm sorry, that's the way you were made. So, in any event, I think that it's not just to people to go along with the fact that they have a mental disorder, and they're not addressing the mental disorder. There's some trauma in their lives in all likelihood. For instance, the guy that started Sex Change Regret, his grandmother used to dress him up in a purple outfit, and only gave him love when he was in this purple chiffon dress. And when he was dressed like a boy and ran around and got in blue jeans and got dirty, she wanted nothing to do with him. So he had this idea that the only way he could be accepted by anyone is to be dressed as a woman. And he went all the way through the surgery. And now he's an old man and he regrets it. And he started a website called sexchangeregret.org. Please look at that. I don't mean to be offensive to anyone here. Really, I don't. I just think it's not fair to people to pretend like something isn't real. Pretend like something is real when it isn't. You're either a male or a female. I'm sorry, young person. You're either a male or a female. I'm sorry, whatever caused you to be hurt. It's just the way it is. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Julia Harthway, North Coventry Township. You've created an unnecessary conflict here. Last school board meeting, two parents very politely got up here and simply asked what the policy was. The school board didn't seem to know. Apparently, which I missed the beginning, a policy was read to them. I'd like to see a policy written down. Perhaps it's okay, but we're not arguing what's written. We're arguing emotions now. Not that they're insignificant, they're important. But there are a dozen different ways you can comply with Title IX in a policy. Title IX says not to discriminate and not to allow sexual harassments. You can come up with a reasonable policy, listening to all of the concerns that likely address everyone's concerns. If you are following a directive from DOE, you're doing so based on their interpretation of this. If there's regulations, they are just issued by President Biden and they have not yet been passed. To my knowledge, Title IX only says do not discriminate and do not have any sexual harassment. I would assume this body follows all such regulations and laws and statutes. But based on those, you come up with a reasonable policy. And those reasonable policies take into account the emotions you've heard tonight, takes into account the concerns of the LGBTQ community, takes into account the concerns of boys and girls who do not want to share, takes into account perhaps a safety issue and good administration of the high school. But it is impossible to argue this if we cannot read an actual policy and understand it. I still don't know what it is. I've now been to 2 school board meetings, and I don't know what the policy is. And even if I had heard the beginning of this where you read it, Dr. Stout, I should be able to read it myself. Look at it carefully and make suggestions, real suggestions. How about if we did this in the policy? I think that protects everyone, but you're not allowing me to do that. The policy should be written down, it should be given to the parents, it should be given to students, it should be given to the teachers, and everyone should have some input to see if they can improve on that policy for everyone concerned. But this board has not done that. I implore this board to do that. Thank you.
Hi, Kathy McDevitt from West Vincent Township. Good evening, Owen J. Roberts community. I'm the parent of recent Owen J. Roberts graduates, and we're concerned about the recent challenges to the inclusive climate in our district. I've heard in several statements that some students are uncomfortable with trans students using the bathroom, and I get that. Being uncomfortable with individuals, ideas, cultures, nationalities, faiths, abilities, and experiences that are unfamiliar comes from a basic human response designed to protect us from danger. And to be honest, I'm unfamiliar with public speaking, and I'm like really uncomfortable right now. But we cannot, in the absence of true danger, allow our actions and policies to be dictated by potential discomfort or fear of the unfamiliar. We can make the choice to override our personal and collective anxieties. We can and must choose to support all our students, especially those who are already marginalized and at real risk of harm, like the LGBTQ community. We can even acknowledge our discomfort as an opportunity to learn and grow, to expand our definition of who belongs in our circle, and to practice living and working alongside those who may be in some way different from us. Every day, our students, and in fact, we started at this meeting, pledge allegiance to the flag that stands for liberty and justice for all. For all. These are brave and inclusive words. We, families, staff, administrators, must model what it means to live by those ideals, uniting as neighbors and community to include and support all our students, and teaching our children to do so as well requires both compassion and courage. But choosing that path will serve to make OJR stronger and a better place for all our students. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tavener Bonsall. I'm from North Coventry Township. I'm here to speak on the same issue many of us are here to speak on. In general, high school bathrooms are tough. I hear about it from friends whose kids are in the high school level. Mine are younger than that at this point. But bullying, substance abuse, sexual activity. Imagine having to choose, adding another layer of having to choose between going into the bathroom that feels wrong personally to the core, or going into the other bathroom that you feel comfortable in. And as we heard last week, somebody throwing things at you, yelling, "Get out, get out, get out." These are children, and no matter where I look, I cannot find any instance where students who are transgender are the aggressors in the bullying, the violence, the hate. In fact, it's quite the opposite, as many of us, if you read any of the actual data and not just watch YouTube, you'll see transgender students face the physical and mental harmful, physically and harmfully mental, oh my goodness. Transgender students face these physically and mentally harmful experiences at a far greater rate than any other group of student. We have talked for years at these meetings about the importance of the mental health of our children in our community. Transgender students must be included in that. They are at insanely high risk. A 2022 national survey just this year on LGBTQ youth mental health found that 45% of LGBTQ youth seriously considered attempting suicide in this past year, including more than half of transgender and non-binary youth. More than 1 out of 2 have seriously considered suicide. To me, any bit of discomfort for anybody else because they don't understand, that goes to the side. Suicide, that's final. As somebody who has had 2 uncles and a grandfather commit suicide, that is not something that we can mess with. These children who are transgender are not mentally ill, number one. And number two, they are not inherently prone to suicide risk because of their sexual orientation or gender identity, but rather they're placed at a higher risk because of how they are mistreated and stigmatized in society. That is coming from science. That is coming from, not from me. Those are not my words. These are our children My children, your children, our community's children, every single one of them deserves to live as they are, they deserve to be safe, and like every other child in our community, they deserve to thrive. But more than anything, they deserve to live. That's it. Let's teach our children to respect our differences, even when we may not understand them, and we as adults have to teach that through action.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Super nervous, sorry. My name is Christy McAfee. I'm a parent in North Coventry Township. I had a 4th grader and a recent graduate of ONJ, and then a 2-year-old. I was super hesitant to speak. I'm a mom. I don't think I'm a mom of a student going through a lot of these diverse issues, but when I was at the last board meeting and the last working session and then tonight, I just felt there was an all-time low of the hostility and the disrespect and the hate. And tonight, I watched it in front of students and children of someone retiring, and I just thought it was sad and unacceptable. And I will be honest, I don't know where I stand on the issue of trans and gender diversity completely on my own, and people that know me don't. But I look at everything and I look at the comments made at the last meetings that this is, opening up our bathrooms as a free-for-all, and that transgender students using a bathroom could lead to an unsafe environment. And I did my own research and I talked with families. And it's those comments that have created so much misinformation in our community and have spread like a wildfire, only causing more harm to those students. I also tried to take in consideration that in the big picture, the trans student population is less than 1% in our school. I have kids with special needs. That's probably close to 25% of our students. It's such a small population, but we're making such a big deal about it. And then hearing tonight that we have to tolerate them and it's a mental health issue, which we have so gotten rid of in science, it just made me sad. So I just wanted to really reiterate tonight that every student deserves a fair chance to succeed in our school, to be protected from discrimination and bullying at ONJ Roberts. And I do believe you as a school and an administration do take that seriously. I'm not coming at the administration at all. It's almost more of our community. I do think that ONJ has a legal obligation to protect all students from harassment and discrimination and protect their privacy. And that includes protecting our transgender youth from discrimination, harassment, and violence. And as other people have stated, we know their suicide rates are so high, and we're so sensitive to that right now. So I just believe that as a community, we need to also watch what we say and how we say it. I know we're going to disagree on this. I've had to do a lot of learning, and I'm still growing, and I'm still willing to talk to people and hear them out. But when I think the school and staff fail to protect transgender students, or any student for that matter, especially vulnerable students, they deny students access to restrooms that match their gender they live at every day, it becomes extremely difficult for them to succeed in school and prepare for their future. And I know that's what we as a school want. We want them to be successful in school and in the future. And I think that's hard to do if we are discriminating against them. So I just thank you for considering my thoughts on this. I do believe you're all compassionate people who want the best for our students. Thank you.
Mark Wolfrey from South Coventry Township. I want to make sure that it's known that there's 5 board members here that have taken an active position in the governor election and have signed on to a public letter pushing for one candidate over another as school board members. So they're actually pushing our school district now is actively supporting one party over another, because they openly stated that as ONJ Roberts school board members, they are pushing one governor candidate over another. I don't think this is appropriate. I think they should all step forward and have their name taken off that letter and apologize to our community for taking our name, our school district name, and using it for their political gain, especially one who's actively running for another political office. Thank you.
Hello again, my name is Laura Guys from
Hey,
East
Laura,
Vincent
can
Township.
I hold you for 1 second? This is your second public comment on this section, which I'll let you do. I just want to, we let everybody who hasn't spoken go first, and then we'll allow someone to go out. And I also have folks on Zoom potentially. So if I'm just going to ask that we observe that. It's a normal practice that we do at all our school board meetings, so everybody has an opportunity to speak first. So if you want to take the seat, once we're done, everybody had the first
In case I
opportunity
don't
to
get to
speak.
say it, I want to
and
bring
then
up
someone has
social
to-
emotional learning, which it seems like
You'll be
has
allowed to
happened here.
do any topic you would like. And that's just normal practice. We do it every single school board meeting.
Hi, Lori Gilland, East Coventry.
Thank you.
I'd just like to point out that during a spring school board meeting, and I don't know the date, I did ask why I could not access the links to the file attachments in the electronic copy of the school board minutes. When I went on, I was told that I needed access or a PIN number to get through to the files. I asked for a printed copy. I'm not going to point out the members of the board that I asked specifically why we couldn't have printed copies here available. But I just wanted to point out that this man tonight came, and if he didn't come, wouldn't know that I would have been ignorant to the law and continue to be ignorant to the law, and I would not have known that it was illegal for you not to provide us that pertinent information. Thank you.
Hi, Tammy Hartman, North Coventry Township. I just wanted to clarify, my understanding is that there has been no policy change regarding transgender use of bathrooms. My understanding is that there was a public comment made 2 meetings ago, and that ginned up some fear-mongering and concern and spread of all sorts of commentary and a lot of false information on the internet. And I just wanted to, I know that you're not voting on this. I know this is something that has turned into a community-wide conversation, but I just think it's important to understand, and thank you for putting up with meeting after meeting of just being browbeaten when it's really just designed to stoke fear and division within our district. It's political propaganda, it's Christian nationalist propaganda, and it's unfair and it's hurting our kids. And so, and I just wanted to remind you that if you speak to the students, I would think that you'll find that they're less concerned than the community members or even the people from outside of our community that were brought in to speak. My daughter is an 11-year-old. She has been in bathrooms with transgender girls, and her response was, what am I supposed to be uncomfortable with? She sees them as they see themselves. Why? Because that's how they see themselves. That's how she recognizes them. Her question is, why would I be uncomfortable with that? It just seems silly to her. So when all these conversations are happening, just remember the students likely have a different opinion than some of these really loud voices that are out here. Thank you.
Hi, Donna Mastrelli, East Vincent Township. To talk about, 2 people ago talked about a specific letter that came out from 70 school board members throughout the state. 5 of your school board names were on that. So, sorry, I'm a little nervous. I don't like talking in public. I'd like to think of our school board as nonpartisan, because I feel that that's how you best represent the entire community. When someone is running for state rep office kind of makes it hard to feel that our board is nonpartisan, especially when we get letters like this telling us who to vote for governor. Specifically, I'm a little concerned about how much campaign funds you have received, Paul, which include $50,000 from Governor Wolf. Your total campaign funds are in the area of $1.298 million. So how am I to feel that you're representing this district and all of its voters when you send out or participate in letters such as this, telling me who I should vote for? That's my question.
Is there any, is there one? All right. If you're going to make a comment, I'm just going to ask if you can line, because I'm going to go to the Zoom. People have been waiting on Zoom with their hands raised too. So no, you can. I'm going to do it. I just want to do it so I'm not kind of going back and forth. So thank you.
My name is Mark Messenger, Warwick Township. Not a big fan of public speaking. Hear all these people getting all flustered about, trans this, trans that. This is a school. We're supposed to be teaching kids, right? So a kid can decide one day that he wants to be a boy or wants to be a girl, whatever. I don't care if they're gay, not gay, but it's the attention seekers that just want to go out there, and they're always the loudest ones in the room. If they want their own bathroom, give them their own bathroom, but don't allow them to go into a little girl's room. Okay, I have 2 kids in this school district. I wouldn't feel safe. I have 2 boys, thankfully, but I wouldn't feel safe with some, which they've already, actually every one of their groups already said that they have some kind of mental issues, and apparently they're all suicidal, which 40% of them are incompetent because they, whatever, I don't want to go down that road, but if they want their own bathrooms, give them their own bathrooms. Don't allow them in a bathroom with somebody's little girl. Somebody's little girl is in the bathroom, they don't want to see, what, a girl with a penis, that's a boy. That's not a girl. Whether they think they're a girl or they think they're a tree or a squirrel, whatever, they're a boy. They were born with a penis, they're a boy. We have science classes in this school district, right? We have health classes. What are they teaching in health class about male and female reproductive systems? Are we saying men can get pregnant now? I mean, we can get down this road all day long. It's a safety concern to me. I could care less what they want, how much attention they want. I don't want to see any harm come to them, but I also don't want to see harm come to some innocent little kid because we all want to tiptoe around the 1% of these kids that want to be a rainbow or whatever they want to be that day. That's not fair to everybody, just to appease a small group that's always loud and just wants attention. And as they've already testified to, it's a mental illness. Every one of them that came up here and said they have mental issues or their suicide rate is off the charts, the attempts of suicide. That's not what I want in a bathroom with a little girl. You can sit there and shh all you want, but that's a fact is a fact. You've all said it. The LGQR.
Sir, you're addressing the board. Just
whatever their community letters are, every one of them's come up and said that they have mental issues. Okay, well, every one of you said it. But so we're
I'm
not
sorry. Hey, please, everybody,
Before
if
they
you want to
all
make a
get
comment,
fired
you can
up.
come up. This gentleman's talking. We're going to respect his time.
Before they all get fired up, I mean, I'll just stop. But to me, it's a safety concern. Nothing's happened yet. Nothing's happened until it happens. Look at what I believe it was at the state of New Jersey. They put a transgender male into general population in a female prison. Guess what happened? Got 2 of them pregnant by raping them. He didn't rape them with his vagina and get them pregnant. He raped them with his penis that he walked in that jail with, but he said he was a female that day, so they let him get locked up in a female institution, which he then in turn raped and impregnated.
Thank you.
2 of
That's the 3 minutes.
3 minutes? All right.
I'm going to go to Zoom.
We currently have 2 hands raised on Zoom. Julie, please unmute and state your full name and township of residence.
Good evening. I'm Julie Foster. I'm from West Vincent Township. I just want to thank the school board for enforcing school policy, specifically with regards to two issues. First, every person deserves the right to be who they are. That's our essential right as human beings. As when I was in high school, I'm a cisgendered female. But when I was in high school 20 years ago, we had a trans student. And at that time, our school board supported the student being able to use the restroom of their choice. And, you know, some of the students made a little noise about it. It was more to make noise, not really because anyone felt uncomfortable about it. And at the end of the day, we're all better for it. We all benefit from learning from each other and experiencing the beautiful diversity of our community. The second reason I like to thank the school board is, as a taxpayer in the district, not only is Title IX currently interpreted to protect the rights of trans students, but it's long been the law in the 3rd District that the Civil Rights Act protects people's gender expression and gender identity. And state law is currently as well interpreted in the Pennsylvania Human Relations Act to protect the right of students' gender expression and gender identity in public accommodations. So regardless of anyone's feelings about students' gender expression or identity and their humanity, purely from pecuniary interest, we should be in support of the school district complying with the law, which at the end of the day results in all of their interests being met. Thank you.
Lisa Yost, please unmute and state your full name and township of residence. Lisa, you're unmuted. Okay. And we'll go on to Dawn Sweeney. Please unmute and state your full name and township of residence.
Good evening. My name is Dawn Sweeney, Warwick Township. First, I want to say that for me as a mom, I have 3 daughters, 2 sons. It's not a transgender issue, and it's not a gender identity issue. It's about allowing any and all biological males into female bathrooms and vice versa. Setting students up, children, for sexual harassment, sexual assault, both real incidents and false claims, not by transgender students, but by male students who will just want access to the female bathrooms and vice versa. I spoke on the phone to someone from the United States Department of Education, Office of Civil Rights, and confirmed that having a male bathroom, a female bathroom, and a gender-neutral bathroom is non-discriminatory. So why would you not do that? It's the only option that's fair to everyone. And it's what the United States Department of Education, Office of Civil Rights has confirmed is non-discriminatory. Also, Title IX does not mention gender identity. It specifically states biological sex. It takes Congress to change Title IX, and they have not changed it. It's in the works. But ONJ Policy 103A is the policy that the school administrators and the solicitor have stated as a mandate for allowing biological males into female bathrooms and vice versa. and it states Owen J. Roberts School District will follow all new Title IX mandates. Well, there are none. It hasn't changed. So what you guys are following is Title VII, and the Department of Education, it's an interpretation. It's not a mandate. It's not a law. Also, the Department of Education, so that's an interpretation. There is no mandate, there is no law, and there's no withholding of federal funds for not allowing biological males into female bathrooms and vice versa. There's currently 20 states who, per federal court order, are not implementing this ridiculous policy. That's almost half the country, and none of their states, not a single school, has had federal money withheld, because that would be discriminatory. So again, I ask you, why would you not have a male bathroom, a female bathroom, and a gender-neutral bathroom, which is non-discriminatory and protects everyone? And I just want to emphasize that this is not a transgender issue. There's going to be biological males who go into the female bathroom for the sole purpose of sexual harassment, sexual intimidation.
Thank you for your comments.
And we're going to try Lisa Yost one more time. Lisa, please unmute and state your full name and township of residence.
Hello, this is Lisa Yost from South Coventry Township. Can you hear me?
We can.
Great, thank you. Two quick things for the board tonight. First, I'd just like to acknowledge the bravery of the student who spoke up tonight. I believe their name was River King. Thank you for speaking up. Thank you for representing the student population, and thank you for being brave enough to stand up in front of this room. I'm sure that was terrifying, but please know that there are many people in our community that are incredibly proud of you for what you've done here tonight. So thank you for that. The second thing that I'd like to say to the board is a continued thank you for trying to keep our meetings as focused as possible on the business at hand. There is quite a lot of business in our community, legitimate school board business that needs to be tackled. We need our teachers to be better equipped. We need our classroom sizes to decrease. We need, as Ms. Sabo mentioned previously, we need to spend some time focused on our students with IEPs, GIEPs, and 504s and ensure that they're receiving the services that they need. And I just appreciate the school board doing their best to remain focused despite of distractions. And to keep as much as possible of your meeting time focused on the real issues that the school board should be focusing on right now. Thank you.
And that is all the hands raised we have at this time.
Would you like your second opportunity then to come up? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, Laura Guys, East Vincent Township. I just want to, if this is, I believe it's already included in the school's curriculum, but social emotional learning was introduced in 1969 by Professor from Yale as a method of teaching students to gain both confidence and empathy for others. Fast forward these 50 years, and now it is being used by progressive thinking activists to embed in public school children as young as 5, 6, 7 years old, and uncritically accept or as normal all manner of thinking on gender, sexuality, critical race theory. Does this school employ social emotional learning? Yes, I know it does. One cogent example of how social emotional learning works is to train a child to suppress their natural reaction to something they would normally be adversely affected by. In other words, the thing we're talking about. In the name of training children not to offend anyone, a girl is trained by social emotional learning to suppress her natural unease with a male being in her restroom, possibly showing his genitalia while nearby her or in a locker room. She who is uncomfortable with this is not permitted to say so. That is what I understood from Mr. Stout's reading of the policy, is basically telling the majority of students they're not allowed to say what they really have naturally reacting to. That's wrong. Thank you.
now I'm more comfortable. Christine McAfee, North Coventry. Because the ignorance that was just spewed was like blowing my mind. So everyone getting up and talking about the sensitivity and the health and like the mental health of these students in no way is saying they have a mental health issue. So despite a lot of the comments, science as a whole, contemporary science, does in fact recognize that being transgender is in fact part of the natural spectrum of human identity. It is not a disease, a mental disorder, or any illness of that matter. And allowing children to present in everyday life as their gender identity rather than their birth sex is associated with the developmentally normative levels of depression and anxiety, whether you agree with the lifestyle or not. The big myth, transgender inclusive bathroom policies put non-transgender students at risk of sexual assault, because school districts all over the country have been permitting this, and so far, not one that I could find, and publicly, all the statistics say not one of these schools has seen an increase in incidents of sexual assault or other problems in the locker rooms. Similarly, numerous states and municipalities have enacted transgender inclusive laws without any rise in sexual assault or violent crimes. The big myth, number 2, permitting transgender individuals to use the restroom or locker room that matches their gender identity violates the privacy rights of non-transgender people. In fact, this myth relies on 2 false assumptions. At first, that transgender individuals enter sex-segregated spaces looking for gratification. The second is that seeing anatomical features typically associated with another gender violates privacy. This is not the case. We're also worrying about like people waking up one day and saying, I'm gonna be a boy so I can walk in the girls' bathroom and harass girls or vice versa. Research has shown it doesn't happen. However, I also understand when I did ask the school district that if that were to ever happen, you guys have great policies set in place. So if a opposite sex is found in any type of facility or bathroom, it's going to be brought to someone's attention and they're going to be dealt with. So I think you have policies for that. I just feel like, I feel bad. This isn't a phase. These kids go through so much through this process. So they're not coming to school and trying to sneak a peek or jump in a bathroom. They don't have mental health issues. Yes, they suffer a lot, but it's because of a lot of the comments that were made tonight. But there's so many myths. I just wanted to go through a few of those. Thank you.
Hello, again, my name is Tracy King and I'm from East Coventry. I just have 3 things I'd like to say. First, when I spoke to the manager of education initiatives at CHOP last week, they said that they would be more than happy to come to O&J Roberts and provide a training session and provide accurate scientific information. If that's just letting you know that that is something that CHOP is willing to do. Second of all, trans is not a mental illness. Yes, we do talk about the high suicide rates, but any child who faced the amount of harassment and discrimination that our trans youth faces would have a higher rate of suicide. That's any child. I've also heard several times this evening that our community is not worried about trans youth. They're worried about straight males taking advantage. That's a whole nother subject. That's a whole nother board meeting about teaching our young men consent and how to respect women. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. All right, so we're on to item number 15, board discussion, follow-up, and request for information. So I'll open it up to the board for follow-up discussions or any requests for information from our board.
If I could, I'd just like to read a statement that I have.
Yep, absolutely.
Since we're at the start of a new school year, I thought that I just had some thoughts I'd like to share as a board member and also a parent in this district. Last month on August 29th, I attended a back-to-school night at East Vincent Elementary, and it was awesome to attend this event in person again after 2 years of being virtual, to see the parents and to also meet the staff. The building looked great, and it was clear to me that a lot of work went into getting the classrooms ready over the summer. But there was something Principal Dr. Smith said in his opening remarks that really resonated with me that night, and that was his statement about getting back to the basics of education. meaning teaching our children to read, write, and do math and have every student performing at grade level. Then when I was in my son's classroom later on listening to his teacher's presentation, there was a discussion on the new STEAM program being implemented this year. And even though it was only day 2, the students were already loving it and working on the new robots. It was then I realized that this program was what we discussed as a board last spring and worked to approve. This was the first time I really felt the tangible impact of the work that we do here. And then recently at the Finance Committee meeting last month, we reviewed plans for the capital improvements to the library. Again, I feel this is critical work that we are undertaking for the high school, because if we are not making these needed investments, then we are not moving OJR forward into the future, and it is our responsibility to keep this district moving forward. To my fellow board members, I appreciate that we have continued to work together for the good of our students and our community. We must continue to strive to find ways to limit the burden of tax increases on our residents and pass responsible budgets. We must continue to focus on academics and face down the real problems that are before the school board, such as the learning gap caused by the pandemic, our special needs programs, the mental health and well-being of our students, and the looming decision on delayed start times. I feel it's critically important for the stakeholders of O&J Roberts School District to know that the safety, security, and overall well-being of every student in our schools is of utmost importance to this board. And we will continue working with the administration to ensure that our students come to school each day in an optimal learning environment. We are elected to represent members of our community in a wide array of varying interests and backgrounds. We reside here, our children have attended or do attend these schools, and we live among friends and neighbors in this community. I feel it is the duty of each of us as responsible members of the school board to exhibit true leadership in finding ways to bring people together and not drive them further apart. It is in this spirit I appreciate that our focus has been our students, their needs, their safety, and their success. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's well said, Dan. I appreciate your comments. Any other comments from the board?
I would just like to throw one more statistic out there that I found when I was doing some reading online, and that is that there are 14 to 15,000 instances annually of sexual assault that happen in schools. And that is taking into account all possible scenarios. It happens in many locations, in many situations, and it is a very serious concern. And I am way more concerned that we are approaching it from a standpoint of making students safe in every location that they are in our building than only securing one specific bathroom.
Any other board comments or requests for information? All right. Well, thank you all. I appreciate it. It was a long night. And afterwards, if anybody knows the score of the Eagles game, I'm very interested. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Good night.